From League Safe World Headquarters, it's Fantasy Football Almost Daily. With Paul Charchian, Matt Harrison, Christian Peterson, and Brian Johnson.
If you have not yet had a chance to use League Safe and you want to try it out, I'd like to mention right out of the gate that you can use promo code FFAD, short for
Fantasy Football Almost Daily.
That's right. Right on the league homepage, and we will throw $10 into your league's pot. Christian, is the low price their ADP? Are you paying either one of these? Are you paying Demaryius Thomas in round 3 or Emmanuel Sanders in round 6?
So I went into this after getting the question and doing some research. I went into this with the same attitude as Matt, just assuming, they should be punished. But after a little research, I'm not so sure. First of all, they already are being punished. Thomas's ADP is wide receiver 17. He's the only receiver in the NFL who's had a top 10 fantasy finish each of the last 4 years. In those same 4 years, only one player has more targets than Demaryius Thomas. Antonio Brown has one more target than Thomas over the last 4 years.
All right.
In the last 2 years, he's had at least 29% of his team's receptions. So this includes last year when they had a new offensive coordinator and when they had garbage at quarterback.
Yeah.
He still got 29% of the targets.
Garbage.
He still had, I think it was 170 some targets. One of the most targeted players in the NFL. So I think at wide receiver 17, he's almost into bargain range now. I think the fact that Mark Sanchez is going to be his quarterback is already priced into that.
Speaking of a reduction in touchdowns, Mike Evans only scored 3 last year. And that made his fantasy value really crumble, despite the fact that the receptions and the yards were not bad.
Yeah.
Jameis Winston comes into year 2. Most people feel like he's going to get a lot better, and he probably is going to get better. So his ADP right now is round 2 for Mike Evans, middle of round 2. Are you paying Mike Evans' price?
To the Mike Evans desk?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I've always been an Evans fan since he came into the league, and so yes, I am. I mean, you look at last year, and obviously the touchdowns were down. You mentioned it from maybe a fluky, 12 in his rookie year. Maybe that was fluky on the high end, to an extremely fluky on the low end 3.
Right.
The reality is somewhere in the middle, and I still think the upside is double digits. I still think he's a 10 to 12 touchdown guy.
All right, let's transition to Sammy Watkins. Current ADP is round 3. Is he the highest high risk, high reward wide receiver on the board?
I think for me it's Kelvin Benjamin still. Benjamin obviously coming off the big injury, the ACL last year. Is he going to come into camp and be in game shape and be ready to go? Is he going to be the guy?
Well, he's in camp and he is in game shape. I mean, I think we know the answer to that part already.
I mean, is he going to be full speed? Is he at 90% right now? Is he at 100% right now? I think the thing I'm nervous is we've seen 1 year on Kelvin Benjamin, and his 1 year was fantastic, but it was a lot of just red zone targets and a lot of red zone touchdowns that could disappear. He's not really a deep threat guy. He's not a guy who's going to get you tons of yardage every game. So I think that the risk of Kelvin Benjamin is pretty great, and for his ADP, I'm probably staying away from him this year.
Is Sammy Watkins the highest high-risk, high-reward wide receiver?
He may be.
Christian.
So the risk is that he plays for Buffalo. They had the second fewest passes in the league.
There's always risk in playing for Buffalo.
Well, yeah, there is some truth to that too. But extremely efficient, maybe the most efficient wide receiver in the league. If he only played 12 games because of injury. If you assume he played 16 full games, his line would have been 80 catches for 1,400 yards and 12 touchdowns.
Correct. I mean, now he's in the conversation as a top 5 receiver.
That's basically Allen
Robinson's
Robinson's season last year as a top 5 receiver. So
do we want to talk about Allen Robinson a little bit more?
Yeah, we'll bring it back to him in every question here. But so the upside is clearly there.